We're going to come back to the economic storm clouds in just a little while. We've got Kevin Hassett and Michael Faulkner, and our friend Vivek Ramaswamy is going to visit us a bit later after that. But before we get to all of that, we're going to bring in Congressman Mike Waltz and Brian Mast from the free state of Florida. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. You guys can, look, you can talk about any darn thing you want to talk about. But, you know, I mentioned Mr. Trump's tax cuts. I just thought yesterday, okay, he went into the Lion's Den with the convention of black journalists. He faced some, you know, pretty strong criticism. Thank heavens for Harris Faulkner, by the way. But I thought he came out the winner. And the reason I thought he came out the winner, I guess I'll start with my pal Brian Mast, is because he emphasized border, inflation, economy, tax cuts. Those are his emphasis, again and again and again. Those are his strong suits. That's where the Democratic administration has done so badly, that he kept doing that. So I think he went into the Lion's Den and he came out a winner, Brian Mast. How did you see it?
I'll just say it the same way that you did, but in a slightly different way. I agree. He came out the winner. It's because he has this willingness, whether it's with a rally or whether it's with media or somebody else, to essentially go where he's not invited, to go onto the other turf, to go bring to the message to the places that need to hear his message and know that he's delivering or going to deliver the right thing for what people need to get them out of a recession, or to get more money into their pocket, or get the dollars lower at the gas pump or in the grocery store. He's delivering the message to the right place. Wins all day long.
Yeah, I know, Michael Waltz, it's interesting. I mean, Mr. Trump has demonstrated time and time again strength and toughness. I mean, he's got a set of you-know-whats. He's got a very, shall we say, a strong backbone. This is a family show in the afternoon. Kamala Harris was invited, but she's a no-show. And I was reading in the paper this morning, she's not even going to go to that group until sometime in September. Who knows when, if ever. She hasn't faced any tough questions at all, Michael Waltz. How do you read that?
Yeah, this is the Biden basement strategy 2.0, right? Is just hide in plain sight, not take any questions, certainly not do things like President Trump has in terms of going to south of Bronx, going to a African-American church, going to Detroit, and going to this forum. But I do think the country is a bit worse off for it. The media loves to hand-wring about the partisan divide and why can't we come together and have good, tough policy discussions. They had no intention of having a good, tough policy discussion yesterday. That was gotcha journalism, and I'm calling on every journalist out there to call balls and strikes on your own colleagues, because the media is contributing to the divide in this country. If she really wanted to talk about it, she would be talking about the effect of minority opportunity zones on black entrepreneurship. She would be talking about historic justice reform as a result of Biden's 1994 crime bill. She would talk about Trump, only Trump, who put in place permanent funding for historically black colleges and universities. So I think those journalists, minus Harris Faulkner, of course, showed their true colors, sadly for the country, frankly, and sadly for the profession of journalism.
Well, even so, he got his message. By the way, he did mention the money put into the historically black colleges, and he also mentioned the opportunity zones, which was really breakthrough stuff, and relying on investment in these minority communities. By the way, yes, inner city black communities, but also, you know, poor white rural communities as well. So he did get that message across. Brian Mast, Mr. Trump is going to, I think, testify or meet with the FBI today, which gives me an opportunity to ask you, do you want to tidy up? Do you have any additional questions about these investigations, given what we've heard, what's happened in the House, what's happened in the Senate, what's happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, or what hasn't happened? Brian, what are you thinking about today?
Yeah, I'm happy to weigh in on it. Truthfully, Representative Waltz being on the investigating committee for what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, is going to give you the best answers on that, no doubt. But President Trump targeted unfairly across the board. I was happy to see one of those trials taken out of play in Fort Pierce, Florida, the documents trial. thank God that that happened. Every bit of congratulations to the justice that made that take place here in Fort Pierce. You know, you look at what's going on with Butler, Pennsylvania, and again, to Mr. Waltz here, I look forward to hearing answers because every single thing that I've heard has led me to more questions and no answers.
Mr. Waltz, what are you thinking about now? You've been through this. You've seen what you've seen. What's on your mind on these investigations?
Well, for the Secret Service, it's not only the failures that day, but who denied Trump's core protective detail the additional resources? Who decided that former President Trump was just like former President Jimmy Carter or W. Bush? Well, he's not the same and needed additional resources. They were denied. But for the FBI, for today, Iran. We're seeing a series of assassination attempts and successful campaigns across the Middle East. They have active plotting right now as we speak to kill President Trump, to interfere with the election. The border is wide open. The FBI has given warning of an Iranian operative that came through Venezuela and is recruiting assassins to go after not just Trump, but the members of his cabinet. You overlay that with the fact that they pulled Robert O'Brien, his former national security advisor's detail. What the heck is going on with with a foreign plot to kill former American officials, and what the hell is the FBI doing to stop it?
You know, you mentioned the Iranian threats. Okay, so Brian Mast, let me just come back to that for a moment. I'm pretty impressed with Israel and presumably its Mossad, their secret intelligence service. I don't know if either of you, Brian, I'll start with you. I don't know if either of you read any of the the Gabriel Allon books by Daniel Silva. It's fabulous about Gabriel Allon is the mythical head of the Israeli Mossad, and he goes out. There's about a dozen books, and he goes out and he finds out anti-Israel killers and takes them out. It's wonderful stuff. Well, as we learned today, the Mossad presumably put a bomb inside the house in Iran, and then the Hamas guy finally showed up 2 months later, and they nailed him. And I remember Mr. Trump, I believe, telling one of the Taliban mullahs in Afghanistan a while back, I've got your phone number and your home address. So in other words, Israel is saying none of these people are safe. None of these terrorists are safe. Not the guy who was nailed in Beirut, not the guy who was nailed in Tehran. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's going to be a huge deterrent to Iran. I don't think Iran is as tough as they say they are. In fact, all these terrorists are all a bunch of cowards, Brian Mast. So what do you make of that? I got your phone number and your home address. You might not wake up tomorrow morning. What do you think of that?
If we have a commander-in-chief in place that executes American red lines, then you have a real power at play. You have real deterrence. What you have in place right now is a Joe Biden administration. And to quote General McKenzie, when he was CENTCOM commander, Joe Biden took Iran off the table literally as a target, which equaled essentially getting aid and comfort to the enemy. No deterrence whatsoever. We need American red lines. The world needs American red lines in order to actually have deterrence and security.
Yeah, well, I think the Israelis are pretty cool. Last one, Mr. Michael Waltz, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM. I'm just going to, he's the son of a bitch, all right? He was the mastermind of 9/11. Everybody knows that. Story running in the New York Post this morning and elsewhere. Maybe there's a plea deal that's going to give him life sentence instead of capital punishment. Where do you come out on that, Michael Waltz? Should he get capital punishment? There are two others with it involved. It's a complicated matter, but maybe not so complicated. What do you think?
Well, first, I'd just like to point out that Representative Mast served in the IDF, and I just want to say publicly thank you to our Israeli allies for doing all of our dirty work and keeping us all free by taking care of business over there so it doesn't follow us home to the U.S. homeland and we don't have another 9/11. Like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed masterminded, at the end of the day, the answer is simple, and government has typically overcomplicated it. He should have been dead a long time ago. Those 9/11 families deserve justice, and that's how justice is done with terrorism, period.
Brian Mast, KSM, capital punishment. Is that your view?
Totally agree. Well stated, Mr. Waltz.
Yeah, well, fellas, I appreciate it very much. Mr. Michael Waltz, Mr. Brian Mast, you're very good to come on the show today. We appreciate it. See you soon.